Thank you. Thank you, Benny. You just heard, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. And those of you who are watching at home, we welcome you to our broadcast. You've just heard Bienvenido Yangco perform Open Sky, written by Bill Douglas for the clarinet. So I want to introduce everybody. We have Terry O'Hara on piano. Our guest musician today is Jim Valley. And on platform with me is Bev Holland, and holding the high watch is our practitioner, Doug Taylor. So we're going to start with the meditation and opening prayer by Bev.
I invite you to join me in a meditation. And I invite you to close your outer eyes if you so choose, or just softly look down. And just know the truth. The truth is that consciousness that is God is the same consciousness that works within us. So at this time, take a deep breath. And just know that wonderful oxygen that is flowing through you is the same oxygen that is being breathed by everything, everyone and everything. It is the same consciousness that is breathed by God. And we have that consciousness. And so let's just allow it to work today in a soft and gentle manner through our breath. And take another deep breath. I recognize that breath is moving through my body. It is moving through every body in this world and in this universe. That it allows the energy of itself to infiltrate, to disseminate everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And right now, hold in your mind's eye a place that you've either been to or not, but a place that intrigues you and makes you feel relaxed without a care in the world, that allows you to just come into yourself in such a gentle manner, taking a deep breath. Allowing that place to form in your mind. And then, if you are near a place that you can walk, just take a few steps. Allow the scenery to pour into you. Whether it's outside or inside, or in an imagined type of place, just take a look around. It's soft eyes. See the colors. Hear the sounds. Allow the temperature to just envelop you in a soft, soft way. Recognize that this is a place that you can come to at any time. And so let's just take a few deep breaths in silence. Mindful that this is our consciousness that is creating this space, that is either remembering or creating it from scratch. Recognizing that this is a place that you can come to whenever you are having a day where you need a break. You can take your own break in your own mind. That is where consciousness meets mindfulness. And I'm so grateful. And moving into prayer, just knowing that same God, that same consciousness that is everywhere present, is present within us. It is present within everyone here, everyone within the sound of my voice, and everyone and everything in this universe. Just knowing that that is just mind-boggling. It is awesome in the best way. And so I actually know that everyone here is blessed with that same consciousness, that same knowing, that same presence that we can call on at any time when we are in need or when we are just celebrating things in our lives. That is another time to just bring on the consciousness, bring on the presence, because it is always here within us. I'm so grateful knowing all these truths. And I release this into the universal law, where I know it is done, and it is so, and so it is. Now I have a reading today from The Infinite Way by Joel Goldsmith. We are learning from the physical scientists as well as from metaphysicians that what has been termed matter is a misinterpretation of mind. Mind is the instrument of God, and God is spirit. Therefore, all that exists is spiritual substance, regardless of the name or nature ascribed to it by finite sense. God is the consciousness of the individual. Therefore, all that can come to us as person, thing, or condition is coming to us as consciousness, in consciousness, and through consciousness. And God, or consciousness, is the soul of every individual. God as principle is the law of all action. God as spirit is the substance of all, of which we are conscious. Spiritual consciousness does not overcome or destroy matter or material conditions, but knows that no such conditions exist, which finite sense presents. It translates the appearance for us, revealing the true nature of that which is appearing.
Imagine that you find a magic hat. Looking inside, you see a rainbow slide with butterflies and dazzling monarch skies. Children playing with laughing, shining eyes. Living dreams, tumbling streams, we're all connected. So it seems, a picture away across the world. Another boy, another girl. Tears and laughter, joy and pain. In our hearts, we're all the same. Imagine that. Animals wild and free, just like the singing, dancing child in me. We can speak their language if we dare, if we only take the time to care. Things that feel so distant and so far, sky above, the moon, star, we're all together in a special way, for that's what nature tries to say. Again and again and again and again and again. Imagine that, imagine that, imagine that. Thank you, thank you.
Cool. So I want to just say that I'd like to have a moment of silence to hold in prayer our board president, Sharon Sterling, who's recuperating from surgery, as well as hold in prayer Laura Bentel, who's going in for heart surgery on Tuesday morning. So let's just take a moment of silence and just surround both of those individuals with healing prayer. And so it is. And so now we're going to have a treat. You Walk in Beauty from Jim Valley.
So this song is from 1969. I was working on the railroad, and I was digging ditches, and it was a very rainy, windy day, and there I was in the ditch, in the mud, and the rain, and the song started to come out, and I said to my boss, can I jump out of the ditch for a second? I have a song that's coming out here. He says, well, sure. Come on up, Jimmy. So this is what happened. Is that on there, Erik? You walk in beauty, sure as the sun doth rise. Your quiet nature is no surprise. You often help me. You take my hand. You walk in beauty. You understand. Your voice is gentle, your sadness sweet. Your body glows with the truth you keep. You hold no doctrine except that of God. You walk in beauty. Live in love. You walk in beauty. You live in love. You walk in beauty. You live in love. Thank you. Thank you.
I think I would have walked off the job. Wow, that's beautiful, Jim. So living in a mindful universe is the topic today. We're star stuff. And when we're in harmony and in respectful relationship with all of nature, we find a level of sacredness and beauty that Jim found in that song. And the universe is the physical expression of the body of God. And so why would we ever desecrate our relationship with it? So there's really only one power, one universal power that interconnects us all, and we can't declare that it's a just and equitable universe while we treat other people, animals, the earth unjustly and inequitably. So this month, we've been in this whole theme of relationship and invitation to anchor in the spiritual practice of engaged relationships and actively revel in how each relationship is ultimately a relationship with Spirit itself. So from our perspective in Science of Mind, all of nature, the entire seen and unseen universe, is all happening within. And nothing happens outside of Spirit. So we should keep this in mind, that Spirit makes things out of itself. And the impulse of Spirit to move has to be caused by a desire to express what it feels itself to be: beauty, form, color, life, love, and power. So everything that we find in the manifest universe is an attribute of Spirit, because Spirit wants to enjoy itself. I think that's a neat thought. And the central principle of what we teach here is the immanence of God, that all phenomena that appear in the natural world are manifestations of the spiritual world. Everything that exists is a manifestation of the divine mind. As Carl Sagan, the American astronomer, said, we're made of star stuff, and we are a way for Spirit for the cosmos to know itself. In the British Museum, there's a sketch of a Sumerian cylinder seal, the goddess and god of the tree of life, freely offering the sacred fruit of enlightenment and immortal life. And it dates back to 2500 BCE. It shows that in the original myth of the garden, there's no danger, no divine vengeance, no guilt. The fruit is freely given to anyone, male or female, who seeks it and is ready to receive its sacred wisdom. And you can read about that in Joseph Campbell's The Masks of God. Those who ate of the fruit went deep into a world of spirit, experiencing love, light, ecstasy, and joy, what we have come to call cosmic consciousness. And their messages are clear. We're immortal, divine, and creative. So our ancestors opened up a lot of techniques to open our hearts and minds to the universe and its multiple dimensions. And around the world, the tree was an image of the living cosmos, endlessly renewing itself. So what happened to this gift? The story we learn from Genesis is that God denied humans the gifts of the cosmic tree of life. Mystics have always known this to be an inversion of the true myth. In 621 BCE, during the time of the rule of Josiah, king of Judah, radical reformers tried to destroy the mystical tradition of the cosmic tree of life, as well as wisdom, the divine feminine associated with the tree. Fortunately, the tradition would be remembered by the Essenes at Qumran, Philo-Judaeus, the Therapeutae of Egypt, the Gnostics, and the writers of the Kabbalah. The secret tradition of the early Christian world would be suppressed by the Church of Rome. So the gift was the knowledge of our immortality, divinity, and creativity that has continued to exist in every generation. So discoveries of those sacred texts like the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi texts opened up a larger understanding and worldview. We also discovered quantum physics and many social political movements like women's suffrage, civil rights, environmental movement, Black Lives Matter, Indigenous people, disability rights movement, and others emerged. And you may ask why in the 20th century, with such creative development, did we experience a century that was the most violent in the history of our species? Jesus of the Nag Hammadi text addresses the issue of human violence. In the book of Thomas, he says, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. And if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. When energies within us are released, they construct new and creative social structures. Change activates old limited beliefs in those not ready for change, and violence erupts in attempts to maintain the status quo. In the 17th century, when scientists were denied the right to explore reality beyond the physical world, it resulted in a totally destructive worldview that said there was nothing but matter. Thankfully, quantum physics has broken through the myth of matter, and scientists are free to explore the non-material dimensions of reality. Eben Alexander, who suffered that coma and had those profound spiritual experiences while in coma, has written in a later treatise, 9 years from the time of that coma, I have moved away from the materialistic model of science, and he's a neuroscientist. So how can we reframe the consciousness of the world to include a greater reality? You could say reality has 3 levels, the material one, and then there's kind of an intermediate numinous level or visionary level, and then spiritual. So if we're stardust, then what are we made of, literally? Flesh and blood, mind and body. We need to appreciate at a deeper level what we are and how we fit into the universe. And our bodies are made up of many kinds of complex atoms, most of which were created inside ancient stars and then flung out from explosions of supernovas to travel for eons through space. So we're 90% stardust by weight and 10% hydrogen. We in the ground we walk on are literally made of stardust. I think that's a neat feeling, isn't it, to know that you're made of stardust? Well into the 20th century, scientists believed everything is made of atoms, and everything on Earth actually is. But do you know, most of what is in the universe is not made of atoms. So what we know is that intelligence can only burst forth from little bits of stardust. And everything we learn about ourselves in the context of the universe as a whole reinforces a fundamental fact that from a cosmic point of view, we are intelligent, self-reflective beings, and we are rare and precious beyond calculation. And we're only possible because of the composition of the rest of the universe. There's a Native American concept that a person's responsibility extends to the 7th generation. And this probably needs amendment. Not because 7 is too many or too few, but we who are alive today have a far greater responsibility than earlier, less knowledgeable generations. Some people think human extinction may not be such a bad thing, especially the way we're wrecking Earth. But from the point of view of the universe as a whole, intelligent life may be the rarest of occurrences and in the most need of protection. Intelligent, self-aware creatures that may exist in every galaxy are the universe's only means of reflecting on and understanding itself. The universe is meaningless without us. Earth's problem is not the presence of intelligence, it's that we're not intelligent enough to take on a cosmic perspective. We are at a pivotal point. The choices we make could reverberate far beyond our species and even Earth. The few billion humans alive today represent, through no democratic choice whatsoever, the millions of generations of our ancestors and millions more of potential descendants with all their hopes and dreams and creations. And we have the power right now to end this evolutionary miracle or not. The future of our species may depend on what we do now to protect the conditions of life. It's hard to get a handle on what we humans have to do in the real universe. But let's be clear, the Earth is in no need of saving, really. It's been through far worse. It's been frozen and steamed and hit by meteors, and it will probably go on for billions of years. What needs saving is the conditions under which we humans have evolved and thrived. In his election night victory speech, Barack Obama told of meeting 106-year-old Ann Nixon Cooper and all the momentous changes she had seen in her lifetime. He laid down a challenge to everyone to think 100 years ahead. And he said, if my children, Malia and Sasha, should live to be as old as Ann Nixon Cooper, what changes will they have seen? Some of the challenges are to see the new cosmos not just as an idea, but as our shared mental homeland. Our second challenge is to use the new knowledge to develop a large-scale vision that can be shared. An emerging global civilization has to cooperate with each other. And the third is to harmonize our behavior with nature. Just exploiting nature technologically while generating heaps of garbage in our oceans and space is not the answer. Brian Swimme, and you can watch him, he is so important to this day and age. Brian Swimme wrote The Universe Story, and he's now got podcasts that you can watch. Very impressive. I got to study his book when I was at the University of Creation Spirituality with Matthew Fox, and he says part of the problem is that we lack a good creation story. We have to think cosmologically, not just globally. And the story has to be equally true for everyone on Earth. Joseph Campbell used to ask what the new mythology should be since the old gods were dying. Every country has its own origin story, which becomes the guiding myth of the people. In the beginning is the way most origin stories open. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's the way Genesis opens. In the beginning, there was no land. The giver and the watcher sat outside their sweat lodge, began a Native American creation story. In the beginning of our universe, which, as we shall see, may not be everything that exists. We now know there are 2,000 trillion galaxies just in our own little Milky Way circle. So in the beginning, Brian Swimme said there was just a little acorn, and it inflated as a spark point. And the bottled up light streamed in all directions, carrying the image of the universe as it looked at its beginning moment. So origin stories fall in three categories. One is the world is cyclical, like the Celts have all those holidays of the different seasons of the year. Or number two, the world is linear, always changing. And the third version is the world is eternally unchanging, although it went through changes in the distant past. So the new cosmology reveals all three of these stories, that they're all correct, but they apply on different scales. On the scale of Earth, it's cyclical. We have the seasons of the year, the births and deaths of living generations of beings. On the scale of that initial emergence, the universe is changing in one direction. It's expanding faster and faster and faster. But if the theory of eternal inflation is right, then on the grandest scale yet conceived, the superuniverse is eternal and unchanging. Quantum possibilities endlessly appear from every spark point, and some will become part of me. Some will become part of the universe. Even as a whole, nothing changes. Ernest Holmes said everything is changeless, deathless, and birthless. An origin story of the new universe challenges deeply held assumptions about what story can satisfy our spiritual longings. Defines spirituality as experiencing our true connection to everything that exists. Then a new origin story helps us fulfill that longing. For us, as I learned in taking the universe story class, there was only a few seconds, like maybe 30 seconds, when the conditions were perfect for life to happen on Earth. So just the fact that we exist is a total miracle. A transcendent origin story has appeared that could unify many around the world, just knowing that. The only agreement needed is that our place in the universe is extraordinary and that humanity could have a cosmically long future. If we all agreed, this would change the world, but we'd have to move towards environmentally friendly growth. Many Americans don't even believe that humans have anything to do with global warming. A cosmic viewpoint could be the ark that carries all humanity of every color and kind from a bleak future on a declining planet to a safe shore of long-term cosmic civilization. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Not only is the universe mindful and intelligent, but it operates on a vibration of love. On Friday, I picked up the News Tribune on my kitchen table and read this tiny little article. And the headline was, "Monarch butterflies have just been added to the endangered species list." And I felt it in my heart. From the time I've been a little girl, I've loved monarch butterflies. And so I had known about that great migration from southern Canada to the central highlands of Mexico, where in the winter hundreds of thousands of monarch butterflies arrive and gather in the fir trees on a remote mountain top. And after wintering in Mexico, they migrate back north. So I just stepped out of the house to run an errand after reading this little article about them becoming endangered and feeling such a surge in my heart. I left the house, and as I was approaching my car, 2 monarch butterflies appeared right in front of me. And they danced and flipped and circled. And then they'd fly up, and then they came back. They did it 3 times right in front of my face. And they were in their mating flight, and it was as if they were saying, "Not so, we're not extinct. We're alive and well. And I'm going to lay 500 eggs soon," said the female. Well, I had my thoughts of loving kindness towards the monarch butterflies drawn them to me. Our every thought, feeling, and action ripples through the universe. We're creative beyond anything we could imagine. We are immortal, divine, and creative, and this is the fruit from the cosmic tree of life. And we know we can create a more peaceful and loving world. There's a field of light, and it's here. And it has a source in a love that's infinite. And this is the consciousness that's going to change the world, because we live in a mindful universe that is love itself. As Ernest Holmes wrote, I am, I am. What more can I say? I am. It is enough. I am. And so it is. God bless you.
So this is called "And the Garden," and I'm honored to be joined this morning with Benny and Terry, and I hope you enjoy it. Am I on there, Erik? Guitar? Okay. Children, listen, sing the story, magic, kingdom within. Moon and stars and all the glory, in the garden, in the garden, in the garden. There's a tree growing deep in the forest. Roots are growing down inside the earth. And their limbs stretching high toward the heavens. The leaves with their ever new birth. Sing, children, sing. In the morning when you rise. Sing, children, children, sing. Sing for your lives. There's an old man high on a mountain, hands in the air to greet the day. He's a hermit holding on to a candle, love in his eyes to help light the way. Love in his eyes to help light the way, the way, the way. Sing, children, sing. On your way back home. Sing, children, sing. When you're feeling all alone. Sing, children, children, sing. Sing, children, children, sing. Alleluia, alleluia. Children, listen, sing the story. Magic, kingdom within. Moon and stars and all that glory. In the garden, in the garden, in the garden. In the garden, in the garden, in the garden. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, thank you, Jim. That was beautiful. Thank you, Bienvenido. So it's time for our offering, and we'd like to say the blessing that's written in your program. And so as the ushers come forward, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
The music that I'm going to play for offering is Azure by Bill Douglas. And let me say a little bit about this
Oh, sorry, I left that out.
and about the beginning song, which is Open Sky, also composed by Bill Douglas. I think it is in line with the theme of living the wonders. This month is a very beautiful month in the state. All the blue sky, and so describes the open sky and azure, which is the second movement of his Triumph Sonata. Bill Douglas, I've known him for about 50 years, but I've never met him. He was ahead of me in the same school where I studied music, and he's a very prolific composer, and he lives in Boulder, Colorado currently. So, azure.
I invite you to close your outer eyes again. And just know that the truth of everything is that it is God-filled, that it is Spirit-filled, the same living Spirit that creates all those beautiful flowers, everything that is in our gardens, everything in the sea, everything on land. It creates absolutely everything. And the other thing that is so important is that we not only are a creation, but we are also creating all the time, through our thoughts, through our words, through our actions. And so we are at choice at every moment. So whether you have a need for healing in physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, all of these things are all in the one mind, the one presence that works in, as, and through us. It is invisible, but it is always there. And so we have hope. We have the ability to change things through our own words and thoughts. And just knowing this is just amazing to me. Again, I am awestruck. So I'm so grateful knowing all these truths today. And I release this treatment into the universal law, where I know it is done. It is done, and it is so. And so it is. Oh, I can do that.
So we have some announcements. I'm going to start with education, then we're going to go to movies, and then we're going to go to Lucas and his presentation on August 7th. So we'll start with the classes ahead, which include Bev's class. So,
okay, yeah, it's a foundational class. It's called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, and it starts next week, not this coming week, but on the 3rd of August. That's a Wednesday, and this will be the first time we teach in person. For the last 2 years, we have not been doing that. So 6:30 to 9, or sometimes we get out early, p.m., every Wednesday for 7 weeks. And because it is a foundational class, we'll be talking about all the spiritual practices. We'll be using the spiritual practices in our lives, and we'll be using them in a practical way, choosing an actual issue that you're trying to deal with in your life. So it's very personal, and it's also all about consciousness. And so everyone who would like to join that class, please just go online to csl.org, look up the class, and register. And then we'll see you next week. Thank you.
great. Thank you, Bev. So we also are teaching an advanced class called Practical Mysticism that our lead practitioner, Mona Williams, is going to be teaching. It's based on Carolyn Mace's book, Entering the Castle. And there's a lot of meditation practice and exploring what's blocking us. Somewhere in the castle is a block that you have. And so that will also be taught at the same time, but it starts the week after Bev's class. It's in person, it's here, 6:30 to 9 at CSL, and you can register online at csl.org. There's an insert in your program if you want to read more. And who's our movie announcer today? Are you the movie person? Okay. So we have this wonderful program called Summer Movies with Friends, and the first activity is coming up, and Bev's going to tell you all about it.
You have it here, right?
Yeah.
Good. The end of July and the first 3 weeks in August, we're going to be joining with Home Office, which is the headquarters for Centers for Spiritual Living. They're offering a 2-hour discussion of movies and how they are the mysticism that is within the movie that we don't always see when we watch a movie. So we have chosen 3 out of 11. They're doing it all summer. but we've chosen 3. The first one is the movie Avatar, the first Avatar movie. And that, we don't watch it together except that time. If you're interested in watching it that week, which is July 31st, that's a week from today, actually, 3 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon. Please talk to Justin. Do you know the time? Yes, Leslie? Oh, 5 o'clock. That's why you're doing that. Okay. Okay, good. Oh, here it is, 5 o'clock p.m. We can watch it together on the 31st, and then that following Friday, we'll be meeting here from 6 to 8. And we will hear one of the ministers from another place in the country or maybe in the world lead a discussion. We're not going to be seeing it live, that particular thing, because it's a different time. It's on Mondays at 4 o'clock our time, which is a little bit early. So we've decided to make it that following Friday. So we'll have our own discussion at the same time that they are. But we'll learn a lot from that. The second movie is Hamilton. And we encourage you to watch that on your own. We won't be watching it. We'll be watching the recording of the discussion the following Friday, which is the 12th of August. And then the third one is the Da Vinci Code. So that's going to be a discussion on Friday the 19th. And again, that one is going to be at Justin's house or his community center. So you need to talk to him because we don't have the address on here. So he needs to have your name in order to be able to let you in to his center. So hopefully that helped. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to invite Luke up. We're going to have the concert with Jim Valley in September, so you'll see that in your program. But you also see that after our noon potluck on August 7th, we're going to hear from Lucas, and he's going to tell you all about his presentation that's going to be at 1 o'clock.
Good morning, everyone. It's so great to see live people. I want to talk, or just before I share, just to thank our musicians for preserving something really precious that I'm not even aware at times needs preserving, but it does, which is melody. A lot of the commercial music that is drawing folks lacks melody. And when our musicians, like the monarch butterfly, embrace melody, it's special, and I'm just becoming aware of that. So thank you musicians for continuing to bring melody, and also, and I'm thinking of Jim and all of you, but also the quality of gentleness, which is in short supply in this world. So very, very briefly, it's been a 6-year journey. I sat in a yoga studio at 5 a.m. on March 1st, 2016, and decided to start writing a work inspired by yoga, which I ended up calling 365 Revolutions. And what evolved from that was the sense of creating a liberation space and liberation voices inspired by yoga poses. And it took me 4 years to write that book and another 2 to bring it to print in this beautiful book that had printed with a professional designer and illustrator. I have a few in the back if you want to have a look at what the book looks like and feels like. But I'm going to collaborate with a colleague with one of the instruments that I love, which is the upright bass. He plays upright bass, and we're going to do a live presentation here on August 7th, right after the potluck. There's no charge to hear that performance. We just did it last week at Seattle Yoga Arts for about 15 folks who were sitting on their mats and listening, and also a few of them got a chance to share or read through a poem after they'd heard it, and we're going to be doing it here as well. So it's a unique kind of a special event. And just to give you a flavor of that, one of the poses is mountain, when you're standing erect and you're open and you're vulnerable and open to the world. And the work that I'm going to just share with you, just to give you a flavor of this, is about the beauty of our vulnerability and our imperfections, and the fact that we do not need to become what other people think we need to be, but we get to express ourselves on our own terms. And the albatross comes into being here because the albatross travels thousands of miles to feed its young, including on the Arctic cliffs and Antarctic cliffs of the ends of our planet. And so there's something that's austere and beautiful about that expression. And so I'm going to just read that and invite you to the August 7th event to join. And if you're interested in looking at the book, let me know, and I have a few that you can have a look at. You are not a wall, nor will you ever be. You are not a presentation, an outlook, the last word, an opinion, or a stand. You are an albatross, a landing in the Arctic waters with sheer edges and sudden drops. You have split the crust, arrived, cleaved, uneven, declared your right to elevation, canceled all past debts collected, accepted your reason, and the albatross is 10 miles south. Closing. You have hidden ledges and salt water dripping off your northern edge. You are no one's obstacle, a natural homecoming, unquiet, far better than smooth. 2 paths up and 1 destination. Name yourself. More to come on August 7th. Thank you.
I got to hear those along the way, and I got to record a couple of pieces that Luke wrote. So thank you, Luke, for that beautiful presentation. So, and now we're going to have our closing song, which is Blowing in the Wind. If you know it, sing along. I think we may all know it.
You know, it's amazing, this Bob Dylan song only has 3 verses. You know that? Blowing in the Wind. So. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? And how many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? And how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head pretending he just does not see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? And how many years must one man have before he can hear the people crying? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. One time, answer, my friend. The answer is blowing in the wind. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next week. All right. I think there's some coffee in the back if you'd like to have some. Yeah.